Chapter 3. Part 2. On the day of young Richard's birthday, still at midnight, he was roused and led to the attic, where he knelt before the altar. The sacred text before him had been opened to a specific page, revealing several lines of prayer he had never seen before. It was ancient Elvish, a language as profoundly obscure as the common tongue, yet one Richard had mastered with equal fluency. The prayer's content remained praise and supplication to the moon goddess. Yet as Richard silently recited it, a strange sensation suddenly washed over him. It felt as though his body were becoming transparent, while something unseen, which had been aimlessly drifting and wandering, suddenly seemed to discover something flying toward him and plunging into his body in one swift motion. Richard felt an icy current surge through his chest and abdomen, swiftly spreading outward toward his limbs and lower belly. The sensation was fleeting yet intensely vivid. However, experiencing unusual sensations during divine or magical rituals was commonplace. Many ceremonies even required enduring intense pain. Thus, young Richard said nothing, instead continuing to gradually empty his mind, as his mother had instructed.
My Richard, soon you will enter the hall of the goddess Elucia to receive guidance concerning your destiny. You may be presented with 2 or even 3 choices. If so, you may select. At this point, Elaine suddenly shook her head and amended her words. My Richard, choose whatever you wish. Listen carefully to the goddess's voice, then follow the choice your heart makes.
Richard nodded blankly. As Elaine's soft incantations echoed behind him, his consciousness gradually blurred, as if he were being pulled away from this world. When he regained consciousness, Richard found himself standing before an immense, soaring temple. He was positioned in the center of a vast plaza stretching thousands of meters in every direction. Standing within it, Richard felt as insignificant as an ant. The plaza was paved with silver-gray stone, shimmering with a faint, mysterious glow. Looking around, he saw nothing but an endless starry sky, the stars so close they seemed within reach. The plaza and temple hung suspended in the cosmos. The sheer scale of the space weighed heavily on young Richard, his heart racing. He dared not glance around again, instead sprinting toward the temple. He ran for what felt like an eternity, crossing the entire plaza and climbing 1,000 stone steps before finally reaching the temple's entrance. Had he not been a mountain child, bred strong and resilient with boundless stamina, Richard would have collapsed long ago. Once he started running, he dared not pause even for a moment. The vast plaza filled his entire field of vision, its shimmering light pulsing as if the entire space wasn't static but moved according to some unseen law. Richard felt an illusion. If he paused even for a moment, the entire plaza would tilt. With nothing to grasp on the mirror-smooth surface, he would helplessly and despairingly slide off the plaza, plummeting into a bottomless abyss. Standing at the temple's entrance, Richard's heart nearly leapt from his chest, his breathing labored. Only after regaining his breath did he recall his mother's warning and glance inside the temple. The temple had no dome, instead encircled by a ring of towering stone pillars as white as jade. At its center stood an altar, surrounded by 3 faintly visible goddess statues. Each stood in a different pose, spaced unevenly apart. 6 pedestals should have flanked the altar, each representing a distinct ability. The more statues Richard could see, the more abilities he could potentially unlock during his initiation. Little Richard possessed an exceptional memory and quickly identified the powers embodied by the 3 visible statues. They were supernatural strength, granting immense power to the initiate; life surge, endowing formidable vitality and healing abilities; and wind speed, enhancing agility and swiftness. Richard felt a slight disappointment. Truthfully, his young mind had already made a choice. Wisdom, which dramatically increased intellect, because a true man needed wisdom. Still, having 3 choices was not bad. His mother had only hoped for more than one option. What Elaine hadn't told young Richard was that among those who underwent the initiation, most saw nothing but an empty temple. Little Richard approached the altar, straining his eyes wide in an effort to glimpse wisdom. Yet this temple, along with the entire starry sky, was not real. No matter how hard he tried, what could he possibly see? Instead, his hesitation and wavering caused even the 3 goddess statues to blur.
Do you desire greater power?
Little Richard startled, scanning his surroundings, yet saw nothing. The voice had appeared abruptly, mechanical and monotonous, carrying a metallic, cold, and emotionless tone that filled him with dread.
Who are
you?
Who I am is irrelevant, and I won't appear again. Strictly speaking, I am the other half hidden within your heart.
Impossible, little Richard snapped. His mother had always said his heart was pure, untouched by such chaos. Besides, after exchanging a few words with this voice, his fear began to fade. Mountain children were naturally brave. His initial terror had stemmed purely from the shock of the unexpected.
But the voice remained unaffected by Richard's reaction, continuing in an unchanging tone. Now, choose what you wish to obtain. Right before Richard's eyes, the altar glowed once more, revealing 3 additional goddess statues. Alongside wisdom, there appeared elemental affinity, a crucial ability on the path of magic. This talent enables mages to communicate more easily with external elements, allowing them to cast spells with less energy expenditure. Simply put, a mage gifted with elemental affinity gains 1 to 3 additional spell slots compared to peers of the same level. This terrifying talent grew more formidable with higher levels. The third ability, Nature's Messenger, granted a profound intuitive understanding of the natural world. It not only significantly enhanced concealment and movement speed through complex terrain, but also amplified the potency of all nature-based spells while conferring heightened resistance to toxins.
With this, all 6 abilities of enlightenment lay before Richard. Richard's mouth hung open, utterly speechless. His little mind was in chaos, completely unable to comprehend what was unfolding before him. The only plausible explanation was that everything he saw was an illusion. How else could it be? This was nothing like what he'd read in books or heard from his mother. Richard finally remembered the purpose of his journey. Trembling, he reached out and walked toward the statue of the goddess representing wisdom. Standing before the towering statue over 10 meters high, the small Richard could only touch the goddess's feet. This was part of the ritual's meaning. Bending down to touch the goddess's feet symbolized an attitude of humility. The moment his hand touched the statue, a sharp cracking sound echoed in his mind, and suddenly the world seemed more real and distinct. Wisdom allows people to see the world more clearly. This was a line from the sacred texts, and now Richard finally understood its meaning. After touching the statue of wisdom, all the goddess statues vanished simultaneously. Logically, this should have marked the end of the initiation ritual, yet the temple remained. Richard looked around in confusion, suddenly noticing a new goddess statue materializing before the altar. Her hands crossed protectively over her chest, her face turned slightly to one side, her expression melancholy and focused. Unlike the others, this statue lacked any sense of substance, appearing more like a shadow. Could this be another power? Richard strained his memory, yet couldn't recall what this statue represented. Not even the sacred texts recorded the moon goddess in this form, though it was indeed an image of Alucia.
Wouldn't you like another power?
What kind of power? I refuse to relinquish wisdom.
You may call it truth. It grants you a different perspective upon the world. At the end of this path, you may glimpse something else entirely.
Other things? What might those be?
The voice fell silent, offering no reply. Richard wanted to leave. He now knew that if he truly wished, he could completely detach himself from this place and return to the real world. This temple was actually a world constructed from ritual power, designed to help gifted individuals discern their abilities and choose their future paths. Yet, this world wasn't entirely illusory. The temple floating amidst the stars was saturated with the goddess's divine power, and the acquisition of all 6 abilities depended on Alucia's favor. Yet the voice that echoed within Richard's consciousness and the 7th statue never recorded in the sacred texts utterly shattered his understanding. Suddenly Richard felt this was like the devil's temptation. But how could the devil's power manifest within the sacred rites of the moon goddess? Gazing at the 7th statue, Richard truly wavered. 2 conflicting voices raged within his mind, neither gaining the upper hand. Take it, or not. Though torn by doubt, Richard's feet carried him step by step toward the 7th statue. The world is balanced, every gain comes with a price. He recalled this teaching from the sacred texts, for balance was a cornerstone of Alucia's doctrine. So what cost would he pay for acquiring a second ability? For the first time, the young boy felt lost and conflicted, yet ultimately, he reached out toward the statue. His mother had told him he could choose according to his own will, He refused to let this opportunity slip away, and was prepared to pay whatever price it demanded. Little Richard possessed courage. He was willing to fight for unexpected gains. And he was wise, knowing deep down that his mother desired him to become a hero, a truly significant figure. At the very least, someone greater than Baron Tucker.